Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Today, something so unusual, no one has ever seen this before. Okay, you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, it looks like a 73 Dino Spyder, you know, removable roof. Well, that it is. Now, if you watch this show, you know we've done resto Porsche 911s and every other kind of car. But this is the first sort of resto mod Ferrari I've ever seen. Because this Dino, which normally had a V6 with 160 horsepower, now has a Ferrari F40 motor with well over 400 horsepower. The car has been totally gone through, updated. I am so anxious to drive this car, and it belongs to our good friend David Lee. Now, you all know David Lee. He's been here a bunch of times. He's got one of the most wonderful Ferrari collections of the world, but they're mostly stock. This is his first modified vehicle, and I'll tell you how excited he is to be here today. He actually wore socks. David, come on in here. You have socks on today.
Hey, Jay, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
You know,
Welcome to grown-up world. Yeah, nice to see you.
It feels weird, but I'll do it.
Well, there you go. I know you did it for me, too, because I gave you socks the last time.
You did.
Yeah. Well, this is just beautiful. This is the cover car on the June 2018 issue of Octane magazine. They thought it was so impressive, they put it on the cover. So tell us the story.
You know, about 18 months ago, I was talking to another a collector that you know that is into the resto mod Porsches, and we were saying, oh, if we made a video going up Angela's Crest, that'd be really great. He goes, yeah. Well, what would I use? He goes, I would use my 227 Outlaw Porsche. What would you use? And I was thinking about it. Well, he says it's in the 70s. I don't really have any like great cars that Ferrari made in the 70s, either 60s or 80s and later.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'll get back to you. And then I started to think through, and I said, well, it would be great if you know, a Dino is just a great looking car. If it had the power and all that we could use to race around, that would be a really great idea. And then I found a place in the UK that was willing to do that for me.
Well, I love the fact that you kept it all Ferrari.
Yes.
I mean, you didn't put a small block Chevy in the back or
Right.
anything like that.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure there are Ferrari purists that will just want to hang you for this, but you know, I think it's so clever and it fits so beautifully. It looks like something the factory could have made.
Right.
Again, it's not a factory car.
Right.
This was built in England by just some incredible craftsmen. I mean, they have so many wonderful craftsmen over there
they do.
in England that just do beautiful, beautiful work. It is a Dino, as you all know them, in every way except it has 3 times the power, easy to say. Have the brakes been upgraded?
Yeah, the brakes are Brembo brakes, power brakes, so that you got a powerful engine. It's, so you got to have stopping power in the same time. So for sure, everything has gone through the drivetrains, the suspension. Very a smart type of
And
Ferrari.
do you still have the original engine?
I do.
So if you sold this and 50 years from now, somebody wanted to put it back to stock, they could.
Yeah, it's a bolt on, bolt off, so everything can be put back to the way it was. I have all the parts, and that's the beauty of what I did here.
Well, it's fascinating because it's the right size, it's the right weight. You know, modern supercars seem so big,
Right,
you know,
right.
wide and long, and they take up the whole road because you've got to have all the safety things and all that.
Sure.
Whereas this is so light and it just, I almost said light and fluffy, but but it's true. It looks like it dances down the road, and with 400 plus horsepower,
Right.
it's just got to be unbelievable.
Even with a bigger engine, we can keep the same weight of 2,400 pounds, and also it's balanced by all 4
So
wheels.
it's 2,400 pounds. Wow. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
So you know that.
Well, the original block was cast iron, right?
Cast iron.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes,
Yeah. These are new.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are the
put the flares on.
Flares on it that a Ferrari has.
Let me ask you about the wheels. Now, those are not the stock wheels, correct? They look bigger.
Yeah. So we recasted it from the original 14 inches to 17 inches.
Oh, a 17-inch
Yeah.
wheel. Okay. 17 in the front as well.
Yes.
You know, I like that era when all 4 tires were the same size, like the Miura, my early Miura. They seem, I mean, obviously you don't have the grip, but it just seems light, and the steering is really easy. You know, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, what else is different? Let's see. Again, we talked about the flares. Those are beautifully
the
done.
flares. The headlight covers are also great. You know, there are some people that try to do them in the past because they thought it was a great idea, but there's clips or things like that that did.
Yeah.
But with today's technology, I can make it invisible set, and it just, you know.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
I'm trying to remember, were they covered originally? I guess they
No,
weren't.
they weren't.
Oh, they weren't.
They weren't
Okay.
covered. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
very cool.
Yeah, so that was also a visual difference. Also the visual difference in the back with the exhibition back where you can see the engine, because that was opaque.
Right.
I also have the opaque one as well, but
I
that's
like
also
the
different.
simple mirror. It's not a big giant,
Right.
you know, with the inside adjustment. You
Sure,
want to
sure,
open the
sure.
window, you move the mirror.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly.
Yeah, and
So
of course this lifts off.
this comes off, yeah,
Right.
so you can put that in the back. But you know, from the outside, that's all you really see that's a little bit different than a normal Dino. But what is not very different is the inside, with all the engines and the drivetrans and the gearbox and the clutch and the power steering.
So it's all modern electronics, fly-by-wire,
Yeah.
no throttle cable or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And the engine, it was 2.9 liters, and we bored it out to make it 3.6
Okay.
liters. With the forged piston
Right.
and crankshaft.
Very
So
nice.
It's you know it's very smart.
Yeah,
fuel
it's
injected.
beautifully done. And as I said, if you're a Ferrari guy and you're mad, you won't be as mad because it's all Ferrari.
Right, it's all
You know,
Ferrari,
at least the lineage is there. You
Right,
know,
right,
so
right,
and
right.
that's what makes it cool. And this is what people would have done maybe 40 years ago when these cars weren't very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can remember when you could get a 250 Ferrari. $15,000 in the 70s and stuff like
wow.
that. Now they're all, you know,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
parts cars are $250,000.
Sure.
But I mean, that's what's really cool about it. It's really, and again, you can go back to stock. If you're one of these people that's all upset that they've modified a Ferrari, you can change it back whenever you want. And there are certainly plenty of regular Dinos around. It's not
Right.
like was there about a total maybe 4,000 of them,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that?
He did make a lot.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Very cool. And the flares are really not that obvious. Maybe because the black tends to mute it a little
Right.
bit, so it's nicely done. And the
Yeah.
rear end with the chrome bumpers and the 4 exhausts
Yeah.
look great.
Yeah, the exhaust it was all custom exhaust to make well, you don't see it. The snap-on GTO competition exhaust makes a very nice touch to the situation
And what is that,
as well.
Evo it says, 3.6?
Yeah, 3.6 Evo is the model of this car.
Okay.
I'm naming it Monza, so
Okay.
it's Monza. And there's a story why Monza too, because Dino Ferrari, his kind of most important car that he contributed to Ferrari was this Monza like 333 SP. So that was, you know, because he had a short lifespan, the Monza was something that was just.
Sure.
So I said, okay, I'm going to call it Monza 3.6
And of course,
Evo.
Dino was Ferrari's son who died at a very young age.
Right.
And
From like muscular dystrophy.
right, his only
disease.
son, I believe.
His only,
yeah, that was
only son, yeah.
Yeah, that was a sad, sad story. It really was. It really was. And that
But he
affected-
was an engineer and he contributed, actually worked for
Right.
his dad, like many of us did.
Now, can we open this here?
Sure. There's a trunk and then there's the engine. Okay.
Open the trunk first. Let's see what we got.
Okay.
here. Wow, you got a full-size trunk.
Yeah.
Got
Put a lot of stuff there.
Oh, you got your man bag here to carry your mascara and makeup and everything
It
else.
was very convenient. Put
Yes,
everything in there, you
that's
know.
pretty- What's in here? What's in here?
You know, just my
Gold bars? What's in this thing?
You know, just like my iPad and
I
got my
see.
wallet, my
Well,
card holder.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just take care of this. No, yeah, let's seal that back up.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Cool. Very nice. But it's a full-size trunk. And of course, you also have, is there any trunk room in the front, or is that all taken up?
Yeah, that's all taken up by the spare tire and some of the other.
Yeah, I'd like to
stuff
see
there.
how, and you have the bigger radiator in it.
Yeah,
too,
bigger.
right?
It's a F40 radiator.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so-
Let's see what that looks
yeah.
like here. I'll go around this side. Let's open her up. Now that's a full-size spare. That's see,
Right.
that's a now that this you put that on and you
Yeah.
keep going, not this
Right.
stupid inflator thing, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But that radiator looks pretty. Boy, that's massive.
That's
for,
a serious radiator, right?
yeah, with twin fans, obviously,
Yep,
kind of
yep,
like the
yep.
Mura.
Mm-hmm.
And the way this is all nicely done, boy, the detail work is really
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's nicely screwed in here.
Mm-hmm.
It all looks. This looks like a factory car.
Yeah.
If you took this to a Ferrari show and people didn't know, they would just think, "Oh, look at that! Not
Yeah.
a nicely restored car." Yet you kept the original fuse blocks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to keep as much as original as possible, you know, and just where you need it to be to have the fun. That's where we have it.
yeah. Well, boy, it doesn't get any better than this. Gosh, it's just great.
Yeah.
Well, let's take this thing for a spin.
For sure.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Love this delicate little door hinge. Boy, there's all kinds of room in here.
Oh, you're right. It fits in here. Yeah, no need to.
Oh, it's a dogleg transmission.
Yeah.
I love a gated shifter.
Look at it.
Boy, the steering is so light.
And you know, this steering, it's
Power
one of those
steering?
power steering, but under 15 miles per hour, it's
Yeah.
power. Over, it's like back to the original.
Right, yeah. Oh, very cool.
Nope. Yeah, sounds good, huh? Just
Sounds great. But it sounds factory. It sounds like something they would build. Just loud enough. It's not, a lot of times people with these really loud exhaust, you know, and it's not tuned. This has a nice, rich, mellow sound.
Yeah.
And it's not until you really punch it that it really comes alive like that.
Yeah.
It feels like it just wants to rev forever. I mean, it's so much faster than...
Yeah.
I mean, you could drive this to Vegas or San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny. It's small on the outside, but it's big on the inside. I actually had to move the seat forward because there was so much legroom.
Right.
It's odd. Even the bigger Ferraris don't have this much
Right.
legroom.
True.
Now you're going to build more of these. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, because a lot of my friends wanted to also make have one, and I figured because I didn't want people to do it differently and put a Chevy engine in the back or something like that. So I said, okay. So I have agreement with the guys that made it for me in the UK, and they said they can make 25 of these in 5 years. So 5 a year, and to make it exactly the same. And I guess I'm in charge of being able to take the order and sell them.
Cool.
To the collectors, the right collectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would people contact you? Through the website that we have up there?
Yeah, through they can email me through
Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, the suspension can be adjusted up and down. It's really there's none of that old classic car suspension sound and feel. It's just like a new
Well, you know,
car.
all the modern cars with the wings and the downforce and all that. But all the fun is between 20 and 110 or 120.
Right.
I mean, this is not a car you take to the track. It's a car you take up into the hills and have fun with. So, you know, so you don't need all the serious aerodynamics.
Right.
You know, you're not. If you're pushing it that hard on the street, you're probably going to wind up in jail or crash.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
it's a wonderful car to drive swiftly and just enjoy this gearbox. Oh.
Yeah.
I love a classic Ferrari gated gearbox. There's something so sexy about it. I don't know what, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe from watching the old movies, you know,
Right.
the guys are chipped and really neat.
And the interior is all pretty much stock and
Yeah.
restored that way. The only difference is the shift knob that you have. I like this kind of round shift knob instead of the black plastic one.
But you got the Vegala gauges, which I like.
Yeah. And I got a cell phone holder because nowadays, you know, it's so convenient, and the GPS and everything. So but it flips in and flips out. So
it's funny.
But everything else is original.
This is what restomods should be. It's just so nicely done. I defy anybody to look at this and think it's not a factory job.
And that's what I wanted to do it so that people would think it has to be like, it has to be from the factory. You know, nowadays there's so many younger people that appreciate the classic car, but they don't want to deal with the classic car problems.
Right.
So the restomod kind of idea is such appealing to them. It's so popular to many people nowadays.
I mean, your Toyota Corolla has at least 160 horsepower.
Right.
You know?
Right.
This is the car the factory should have built. It's a shame they never put that V8 in the Dino. You know.
They could have done it. Third version, they could have done this.
You know, I keep saying it, but it's just the right size. You know.
Yeah.
So many of these cars, you have one wheel and the yellow line. You know, it's so
right.
wide.
Yeah. I was driving somewhere this morning and I was like, there was a small space, but I said, hey, I can fit this car there.
Yeah.
My other car is like, no way, you can't take that space. Forget about that space. That's not
Well,
for you.
this car, even if you like ding the fender, it's not carbon fiber.
Right.
So it's not a gazillion dollars.
Right.
You can bang it out.
Yeah.
Boy, you really feel that front end rise up, don't you?
Yeah. This is a very balanced car too. don't you
Yeah, it's
think?
very nice. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this is as nice a resto mod as I'd ever seen. The resto mod isn't even the right term, because you always think American cars are resto mod.
Right.
But,
Right.
but and that's what it is essentially. But it's all true to it's all Ferrari stuff. So
Yeah.
the DNA is all the same.
Right.
You know, this seems like the kind of thing that somebody might have gone to Enzo and said, I want to put the F40 in the, no, and then they do it in secret, and then they drive it past the
Right,
boss,
right,
and he goes, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I can't believe that Enzo wouldn't have approved of this.
Right.
I mean, it's such a brilliant car.
Yeah.
It really is nice. And although the Dino was never officially classified as a Ferrari, I think 50 years later we can say it is.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, sure.
I think it's earned its medal, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you'd like to learn more about this car, pick up the June issue of Octane Magazine, 2018. That's it's the best car magazine out of England. It's really terrific. It's on the cover. You'll see it on the newsstand, and you can learn about a little bit more about it in there and see some fabulous pictures. And once again, David Lee, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
You've become quite a connoisseur. You have excellent taste.
Thank you. I'm learning from you.
Yes, and a good taste in friends too. Let's see what this baby does. See you next week.
Yeah.